Today, we are making traditional Napa Cabbage Kimchi, also known as Tongbaechu-kimchi. Everyone loves kimchi, it's everyone's favorite. Kimchi can be pretty expensive, particularly at the major supermarket chains. Even when I go down to the Asian grocery, it can be pretty pricey as well, particularly if you like to eat it a lot. Today, we're going to use a recipe from Maangchi for the whole Napa Cabbage Kimchi. She is definitely the sweetest chef on the internet, an absolute darling. So we're going to be following along with her video. It's going to be spicy, it's going to be sweet, it's gonna have that great pickle flavor. So we have a whole Napa cabbage here, and you can cut it up into smaller pieces, but we're gonna try and do the traditional way, which is keeping the leaf intact and just quartering up this whole cabbage. It's a little bit more labor intensive, I believe, but it has a really beautiful result at the end. I woke up in the middle of the night thinking this was a cos lettuce, but it's not. It is a cabbage. I made the right decision yesterday. We're gonna split it up, and then we're gonna wash each of the leaves in a salt bath. What that's gonna do is draw out the water, which will help with preservation later, and it will also allow the flavors that we're adding to soak into the vegetable. We're gonna break this in half long ways first. I'm going to make an incision kind of around here. Now we've made this cut, everyone online grabs the bottom and just rips it open. So Wolverine style. Perfect. There's still a big chunk here in the core, so I'm gonna make another incision and quarter it again. Because these are pretty big still, I'm actually going to cut them again into 1/8. Still holds the shape, and I'll be able to get into those leaves a little bit easier as well. Now that these are a bit smaller and more manageable, I'm just gonna give them a rinse with cold water first. Once it's been rinsed, it'll be a lot easier for the salt to stick to it. I have some rock sea salt here. You can use kosher salt or you can use rock sea salt, either's fine. So I just need to put the rock salt in there, pat it down the bottom, and get in between every single leaf, particularly at the base. It's gonna be a bit thicker, and we'll rotate this every half hour or so and ladle back that water on top so it's all covered in that nice salty brine and is ready to absorb all of the yummy flavors later. I don't know if I'm doing too much salt, but I will rinse these after, so I figured like, oh, who cares? Just put as much salt in there as we need. I'm gonna rotate these every half an hour or so. I'm gonna let these sit for about 2 hours in total. There is some liquid already pooling from where I've rinsed it and maybe the salt pulling the liquid out. I'll ladle that back on top to make sure everything's really salted nicely and there's an even coverage of salt across the whole thing. We're gonna make the porridge. It's not your standard oatmeal porridge, oat porridge. Think of it as a glue to bring the whole dish together and make sure it's all coated evenly and tastes delicious. It's really simple from here. It's 2 cups of water, 2 tablespoons of glutinous rice flour, no need to be precious, whack it in there. We'll heat this up on medium heat for about 10 minutes, give it a stir, and then once it hits the 10 minutes, we'll add 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, stir that in. Once it's dissolved, turn it off, put it aside. Pretty straightforward. Time to prep our fresh vegetables. Green onion, daikon, white radish. This is garlic chives or buchu. And we have our carrot as well. We need 2 cups of daikon cut into matchsticks, 1 cut of carrot matchsticks, around 7 to 8 green onions cut up, 1 cup of our garlic chives. If you can't find this, it's a little bit painful to find, you can just chuck in more green onion. What's always surprised me about Korean food is you'd think at first glance it's going to be quite heavy and dense, maybe make you feel a bit oily, but it's actually quite refreshing. And I think it comes down to seasonal vegetables, but also these panchans really complementing and helping to cut through as either a palate cleanser or to cut through the oil and fat. So, you know, it's a really considered and really delicious meal. These guys have been sitting for around an hour now. I'm just gonna give them a rotate. They're nice and salty. They're releasing a lot of liquid too. They have a bit of a shine to them. This is fermented salted shrimp. It's in a salty brine. I think this is quite important to kickstart that fermentation process. This was a little hard to find. I had to go all around town, but I really think it's the secret sauce. Then as well, we have the gochugaru, which is red pepper flakes, 24 cloves of garlic, and about a 2-inch square of ginger. And we have our onions as well. I'm gonna add my garlic and my onion and ginger into here. So I'm gonna add half a cup of fish sauce into this to help blend it up and make an even paste. We have our porridge here that's all cooled down. I'm just gonna add it straight into this. So we're adding in our garlic and onion and ginger mix. Now we can put in 1 or 2 cups of gochugaru. I'm gonna probably do about 1.5. I'm not too sure how spicy this is. Fermented salted shrimp. So half a cup here. I'm just gonna drain that nice brine straight into the mix. Dice these up a little more. Bless you boys. Thanks for making us a delicious kimchi. I'm gonna mix this up just to combine it really, really well. And then we're gonna add in our chopped vegetables. Super spicy and fragrant. I thought it would smell a bit more prawny, but it actually smells really fresh. But look at that, that looks absolutely beautiful. Okay, I have a lot of bowls here. I have our cabbage here, which has been rinsed and is drip drying. I have our spice and vegetable blend here that still looks and smells amazing. And then I have a bowl here that I'm gonna mix the whole thing in. We have our beautiful rinsed salted cabbage now. You can see it's opened up really, really nicely. I'm gonna use this now, just use my hands. I'm going to mix this as best as I can. So let's begin. And I'm rubbing right down to the root, so there's no part that this porridge isn't covering. You can see how beautiful this looks now. I'm dripping it all over the bench, but we're fully covered, we're nice and saucy. And this is gonna soften up and take on that color even more as it ferments over the next few days. Yum. This would be like a really fun activity to do for like a date or with a big group of friends and make heaps and send it home. You know, by yourself it is a bit time consuming, I won't lie, but it's been really fun so far, but I am beginning to get a bit tired. Fold this, and I'm gonna come and put it over in this bowl and pack it in really tight. And I might just put a bit extra on for good measure, put him to sleep for the next few days. Here we have our kimchi in our airtight containers. We're gonna leave these on the counter at room temperature for 1 to 2 days and we'll check back in. But I will open the lid randomly to let some of the gas go. And hopefully that liquid will start to sort of bubble up. Okay, it's been 3 days. It said it would take 1 to 2 days until we started to see fizzing, but it was pretty cold down here, so I wasn't seeing any reaction yet. But now that it's been an extra day and it's warmed up slightly, I can start to see the bubbling happening in the liquid, which means the fermentation process has started. I'm gonna put these in the fridge now, and I'm gonna leave them for 1 or 2 more days. I think the cabbage could be a little more soft, and then we're gonna dig in and try it. But it smells delicious. The color's really, really, really red. It's a little sour and has that fizzy kind of quality to it. Before it was still tasting like individual ingredients and a bit hard, but can't wait to dig in. Glad it's worked. I was absolutely shitting myself when nothing was happening, but trust the process as always. Napa Cabbage Kimchi, we did it. It's here. We got heaps left. I kind of regret not making an extra cabbage whilst I was going through the process, even though at the time I was complaining it was time consuming. We've already eaten nearly all of it. And I put aside this last bit just for this video. The color's gone really red, the vegetables have softened out, and it has that beautiful fermented smell that we were looking for. It's beautiful to serve as one whole piece. You can cut it up for your guests and plate it in the middle of the table. You do need some scissors to pull it apart, otherwise you're going to make an absolute mess. All that shrimpy smell is gone, and we're left with just that pickle-y flavour that we were looking for. The texture's soft, the colour's beautiful, and it's ready to eat. It's cool. It's yummy. A lot of fucking kimchi to eat. Imagine if I just ate this whole fucking plate. Absolutely clean me out from inside out. I followed Maangchi's recipe. Go and check that out if you want to follow along. Really yummy, really fresh. Napa Cabbage Kimchi. See you next time.